everybody, Brad the Guitarologist here. In this video I'm going to show you how to transform your Xiaomi Mijia 4K action camera so that you can adjust the focus. Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of the best woven guitar, bag, and camera straps on planet Earth. And now the best is even better with a new line of hand-woven Maya Serape straps with USA organic herringbone hemp backing. Get 10% off when you use the link in the description, and remember, when you support my sponsor, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it. I've never really been truly happy with this thing, to be honest. I bought this, I think it was like a little over $100, and although it takes pretty good video, the audio is absolutely horrible and is unusable. So that's my number one complaint. My number two complaint is that I've never been able to adjust the focus so that I can get real close-up objects in macro and also farther away objects to come into focus easily. And what I'm going to do here is show you how, if you have one of these cameras, that you can at least adjust the focus. So to open this thing up, what you have to do is get some kind of plastic tool. Here I'm using one of the little kits that you get with Apple product screen replacement. I'm also going to use an exacto knife. I have already actually opened this thing up, so I'm just going to be showing you in reverse the way that I've already opened it. So what you need to do is get something, a piece of plastic of some kind that you can get up under the edge rim of the lens. So what you'll do is you'll insert this tool here below the edge, and you'll see it's already lifting. As soon as you put it under here and you start to pry, it will come up. There's just double-sided tape holding it on, so it's no big deal to really get it up. And you can see there the double-sided tape. Normally there would be 3 screws here. The double-sided tape was passing over the top of a couple of these screws, so what I did was I took my exacto knife and cutting from here away from the lens so you don't hit the lens on accident. You want to just cut away the little bits of the double-sided tape so that you can get the screws out. So you'll have 3 of those screws. When those come out, this little edge rim of the lens will also come off. So this piece comes off. And then also this whole plastic front will come out as well. And it really was best for me to get in with an exacto knife to get it started. And you just want to try to pick a spot that looks like it's got enough of a gap that you can at least get the edge of the knife in there and start it. Once you get it started, it will come pretty easily. And this is where kind of these little guitar pick things come in handy, and probably an actual guitar pick would work as well. But you just kind of run it under the edge, just like you would in a lot of Apple products to get it open. So that just pops off like so. There actually will be another thing that you'll have to get off, and it's this object. Again, I've already had this apart, so the screws are not in this, but whenever you open yours, you're going to have a couple of screws here, this one and this one. You'll also have 4 screws around the edges that you'll need to take out. So there's 6 screws in total. That will remove this piece. That will allow you access to the lens. Now the lens is just screwed in. It's also got a slight amount of what looks like some kind of adhesive. I'm not sure if it's epoxy or not. I've already removed some of the adhesive from mine with my exacto knife. But it will break free. If you take your lens and you turn it, you can see it, my whole lens is turning at this point. So this lens will come out of here. And if you just keep unscrewing it, it will come out. And during this whole process, you just want to make sure that you're not, you're marring up your lens in any way. You don't want to scratch it or mar it up. So just be very slow, very deliberate, very gentle. You can see here that there are a couple, like I said, there are a couple of areas where they have put some glue. There's a little bit of glue that they put on one side, and then they put a little bit of glue on the other side. Essentially, all I did was I took my exacto knife and I just kind of peeled off the bulk of it. And the only reason you really want to do this is so that you might be able to screw in a little bit further than you normally would have. Maybe a couple of, you just need to go a couple of extra turns, because they usually set this at the factory so that it has a you know, a pretty decent depth of field that's, you know, kind of all purpose. But the problem is you can't see anything really in macro, and you can't focus on things that are very far away either. It's kind of just middle of the road from the factory. And some of them, I've heard reports where it's actually not focused very well at all either way. So, but anyway, this is the lens out. Again, you don't want to touch this, and if you do, like it looks like I may have done right there, you want to try to clean that off. So I'm going to clean that off before I stick it back in. Okay, that looks okay for the time being. It's not going to be too critical for me from here on, because I'm actually going to be able to open this at will from now on. But essentially, now that you have it in this form, you want to go ahead and put it back in. So I've taken off most of that adhesive. Now I'm going to be able to screw it in, like I said, a couple of turns past where it was from the factory, hopefully. Okay, so at this point we can actually turn this thing on. And as you can see, it's completely out of focus. But we'll put an object here in front of it that we can focus in on. And as we get closer to the factory setting, you'll see that start to come into focus there. And there we go. And the beauty of this is, again, you know, we're going to be able to get really, really close in on objects to be able to film, you know, down on a macro level. Like so. And then we can also back away, and we can get more of a factory setting out of this. Or we can, you know, view objects further away. So you can see there I'm focusing in, pulling out to look at the knobs on this amp, and I can focus on the stuff a little further back on my desk, you see there? And I'm adjusting this on the fly. Now the problem is, this is very small and dainty, and this piece has a guard over it so that if you put this on, you're not going to be able to adjust that anymore. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove this bit so that we'll be able to access the lens anytime we want. So we want to get rid of this little riser piece right here. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do that, and I thought that we would figure this out together. Now they actually sell replacement lenses for these Mijias online that claim to not distort, so they're probably better lenses, but they cost $100, which again is about what I gave for the whole camera. So you'd basically be doubling the price of the camera if you went with one of those lenses, and I'm not prepared to do that. So I'm going to make this thing a lot more useful here, hopefully, just by doing this. Back here we've got some wraparound. I'm not sure what this is for, but let's go ahead and see if we can figure out what it's for. I'm sure it's some kind of shielding. Probably shouldn't remove it. I do have some options. I've got a saw I might be able to saw it with. You can see there's a little lip there, so it does look like there's two pieces. You know, so like that would pop, like if this wasn't all on here, that there might be a way to just pop that out. I think it might be worth exploring that. So let's peel some of this back on just one little area here. Let's peel this tape back just a little and see if there's a boundary. Yeah, I'm not seeing one right there. You see what I mean? It looks like it's all just, yeah, it looks like it's all one piece. So we'll probably will leave that. That's the best thing to do with that stuff. And I'm sure, once again, that's probably some shielding for the internals, and it probably should stay. Okay, this is a luthier saw, and you can get similar saws online that are, some are more and less expensive than others. This is what I'm going to use because I really only have one shot at this and I want to try to do it right with my example, but it's probably true that I could sit here with this exacto knife if I had a really sharp exacto knife blade and just go around the edge of this. And you can see that is working, that actually is cutting that, but it's probably going to take me a long time, so I'm going to move to the saw instead. I kind of doubt this is going to end up looking very pretty, but these are not very useful cameras if you can't get the thing to focus on what you want it to focus on. And this is just going to make it a much more useful camera for somebody who wants to be able to manually focus. Another thing you're going to have to consider is that, you know, obviously by the time this is done, you know, it's not going to be sealed in the same way that it was either. So you're going to have that to contend with. Now all this little bit of tape here that's left, all this is going to have to go. So we'll cut this. This will also kind of clean up the edge a little bit. Now again, I think this is shielding tape on the inside here, so this would be conductive. So you want to make sure that you remove every little piece that's dangling. You don't want any pieces dangling. This will give me an opportunity also to clean up this front edge. I really don't know why they didn't just do this from the factory. Allow you to, you know, manually adjust the focus. It seems like a no-brainer to me. But, you know, maybe they had some other product they wanted to upsell you on. So, you know, they don't want to give you too much control over a product like this that's only supposed to be in the sort of $100 to $150 bracket. But there we go. Now then, that is part of the way there. So we have removed one obstruction. Now the other thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make our focusing wheel larger. Obviously this is really small. It's really dainty. It's kind of hard to grab onto, especially without obstructing the view with your fingers. So we are going to take this piece we already have and we're going to convert this into a focusing wheel with a couple of tiny drops of super glue, probably 3 or 4 tiny drops. We're going to glue this to the lens, and the last thing we want to do is get glue on the lens. So yeah, while that might be a wise move to put some masking tape on the actual lens so that you don't get glue on it, I'm gonna live a bit dangerously here, and I'm just gonna fly by the seat of my pants. I'm just gonna put maybe a drop over here, drop over here, a drop at the 4 corners essentially. We're just getting down inside of the inside of this little rim. Okay. So that's going to be glued directly to the lens. Oh, I can already see a problem. This little bit right here has to come off. This little tab is going to get in the way. It's going to stop. It'll stop this from rotating if we don't remove it. I think I'm just going to give it a little bit more glue. Now, it just occurred to me another way to have done this. Instead of gluing it up here in front, it might have also been feasible to glue it from the rear. We might do that also, like as a secondary measure. Okay, I've used some accelerant to get this glue to cure a little faster, and the only thing you really need is a little bit of baking soda. You get a little baking soda on your finger like so. Just get a little tiny bit and then you blow it over the top of this. It will help the glue cure faster. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to demonstrate how this could have been done easier had I just thought about it for a second longer. You can see where these two pieces kind of begin and end. This outer piece has this little tiny lip right here that ends right here, and then this is the lens right here. So you could, and if I was thinking up front, I could have done it this way. I could have actually placed this here like so, and I'm going to do this to reinforce it anyway so it doesn't come loose on me. Yeah. But you'll see what I mean in just one second about the baking soda. It accelerates the curing process of the glue, so it pretty much will set hard immediately. Okay, so there it is with the with everything cleaned up. So I've got it glued pretty well underneath. I've got it glued just a little bit around the rim on top. I did not get any on the lens itself, but now we have something that we can grip onto, that we can focus manually with. You can see I can get right up on that and focus in, which is brilliant. That makes this a much more useful camera. I just got to get used to using it. You can see I can get right up on that and focus in, which is brilliant. That makes this a much more useful camera. I just got to get used to using it, you know, and focusing. But the fact that I can pull in that focus now on close-up objects, and that I can pull in the focus on more distant objects, just makes this a much more useful camera. You see, I'm going to go, you see that lettering in the background there. I can pull that into focus, and I can pull this lettering into focus, and then I can come down here and I can pull this lettering into focus. So yeah, absolutely way more useful of a camera this way. And because I can't leave well enough alone, I'm going to take this little ring right here, which actually looks like it should be a focus ring anyway, and I'm going to glue this right onto this piece. So we're going to be able to have a little better grip on this whole thing. So we'll put some super glue down in this rim, and we'll kind of probably focus on these three little tabs right here. Ha, brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, that's going to give me much more control, much better camera. So yeah guys, that'll do it. Hope you've enjoyed this video on how to convert the Xiaomi Mijia 4K action camera into a manual focus. Please hit subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all later.